What's up, Comic Book Nation? Welcome to Walker Wednesday, where we break down and preview episodes of The Walking Dead. I'm your host, Brandon Davis, calling BD, joined today by Charlie Ridgely, my fellow
What's up, y'all?
Walking Dead superfan.
What up?
He doesn't miss a beat, this guy. Great episode coming up in today's show. In just a couple minutes, we're going to get to that. We talked to Danae Garcia live from the set of Fear the Walking Dead, and she is awesome. Luciana is awesome. Fear the Walking Dead is awesome, and if you jump ship on that, I'm telling you right now, you will regret it, because the back half of season 2 was some of the best zombie drama you're going to get anywhere.
Yeah. No, I was not big on Fear the Walking Dead. I wasn't super into it. Brandon convinced me to keep watching and keep going, and season 2, the last probably 5 episodes
were phenomenal.
Are out of this world, and
They're
I can't wait for season 3.
And it is in large part to Danae Garcia's Luciana.
Once her character came on, not to disrespect any other character on that show, but from the time Luciana came on, it was epic.
She was great.
It was really good.
So we're going to talk to her in just a second, but first I want to talk about The Walking Dead. The ratings stayed strong. Good episode Sunday night. Negan, Dwight, Eugene. Ratings stayed strong. We had 10.42 million people tuning in, and it was competing with the Oscars.
Yeah.
So people were worried. I was a little worried in the first half that the ratings were going to slide, that we were going to dip below 10, see 9, and that still might happen. But with competition like the Oscars, to hold a 10.42, to dominate Sunday night like that, that's impressive stuff. I don't think we need to worry. It's a good sign.
I'm with you. I don't think we need to worry either. The ratings did dip a little bit, and I know people are going to look at that and kind of waver a little bit because it's the second lowest of the season. But the Oscars are one time a year, and everyone tunes into that. No matter, a lot of people are watching that show, so you're going to have some pull away. And for it to only drop by that much, because it went from 11.08 to 10.4. So really to only have about a $500,000 or 500,000 person drop, that's a lot of money. 500,000 person drop in that competition was huge.
Yeah, and but the Live Plus 3 and the Live Plus 7 have also been huge. The mid-season premiere went up to 17 million with Live Plus 7. But real quick, before we get to Danae, real quick thoughts on the episode. I really enjoyed it. I think I love the depth they're adding to Dwight.
Yeah.
And I really think they're fulfilling the comic book story. And especially having talked to Austin Amelio about this episode, and he says Dwight has a bigger plan. Yeah. That's why he got the doctor killed, which was a huge deviation from the books, and we'll get to that. But overall, I really liked the episode and how it was emotionally intense, but also humorous.
Yeah, no, it had some of my favorite lines so far this season, and really some of my favorite scenes. That scene where Dwight goes to find Sherry and he reads that letter was so emotionally powerful. It's something we've been missing a lot.
I'm crying just
this
thinking
season.
About it.
It really tapped into my emotions, and I really love how they filmed it. And Eugene's lines are hilarious. He's growing into one of my favorite characters.
When he says we should offer you a signing bonus, I've said this a million times. I'll never forget this line when Eugene's just like, "Oh, I was gifted these pickles." That was the best thing
so
ever.
Good.
Guys, let's get Danae out here. But first, I want to tell you all, we have a very special announcement for this Sunday. We have an awesome guest on After the Dead. Greg Nicotero, the executive producer, the visual effects guru, the man who's directing this Sunday's episode, will be live right here on The Walking Dead on Comicbook.com's Facebook page for After the Dead. That's Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, following the new episode of The Walking Dead. And, by the way, this laptop right here, I just watched the episode on it. Charlie hasn't, so should we open it and just show everybody? No, we're not going to do that. Let's talk to Danae Garcia. This was a really cool thing. She's on the set of Fear the Walking Dead. Let's check this interview out.
Yeah, we can bring it back.
Come back out.
You got it.
Well, we actually had a bit of a technical issue with getting that queued up, but we will toss to that in just a second. But in the meantime, let's talk about Sunday night's episode.
Absolutely.
Do you think, now, we're expecting Dwight to flip-flop, right?
If you're a comic reader, that's what you're expecting.
Right.
That happened in the comics. It was one of the biggest reveals of the whole series.
Right.
So if you've read those, you're waiting for that.
Right. But what you're not expecting is Eugene to flip-flop.
Right.
Do you think, based on this episode, Eugene's actually smiling, he's enjoying himself, and honestly, I don't blame him. Do you think he might be flip-flopping and going to the dark side and siding with Negan?
I don't know. It's one of those things, like, we know Eugene is a weak guy, even though we saw signs of strength here, and it's hard to wonder, is he staying strong because he knows he has to in the sanctuary, or is he strong because Negan influences him that way?
Right.
Is he trying to defeat Negan?
I think he's a chameleon. And like Janelle Wheeler pointed out on Sunday Nights After the Dead, she said, Eugene is playing both sides of it. If Rick comes to attack the sanctuary, they're going to say, don't hurt Eugene. If Negan goes to attack Alexandria, he's going to say, keep Eugene safe.
Yeah.
So either way, Eugene is in a win-win situation. He's a chameleon, he's adapting, and he's ready to.
There's a lot of credit to that, to the way Josh McDermott's playing that character.
Absolutely.
You know, you never know what's happening. You never know what he's doing.
Right.
And that's a huge bonus to fans because it's keeping us on our toes the rest of the season. Even if it's only that one subplot, we're never going to know what happens.
Right. All right, guys. We have we're gonna get to today in just a second. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm super excited to have Greg on the show on Sunday night. But another thing from Sunday night is they killed Dr. Carson, which was a major deviation from the comics. As you know, as a comic book fan, Emmett Carson was the brother of Harlan Carson at the Hilltop.
Right.
And that prompts Eugene's escape in the comics. That helps get people out, and Eugene is the hero there. This is a major deviation, and and Austin Amelia says this is all part of Dwight's plan. But in Negan saying we have another doctor, and he points up to Eugene, he may have actually been talking about the Hilltop's doctor.
Right.
They might just go steal him away.
Yeah, he said we have another Dr. Carson, which it looked like he was talking about Eugene, hinting at Eugene just the replacement for Dr. Carson, but it also hints to there is another actual Dr. Carson hanging at Hilltop, and they have power over Hilltop. They have power over Gregory. They can literally, Simon can walk in there, grab Dr. Carson, and walk out. The only thing that's going to stop them at this point is Maggie.
I've never seen Simon at the Sanctuary, which makes me wonder, what is he doing, or is Simon, Stephen Ogg just not available for filming on the days?
It is weird.
I think he's just filming Westworld on the days they filmed at the Sanctuary.
He was off on Grand Theft Auto, doing some Trevor stuff.
All right, guys, we are live, so put your questions in the comment section. We will address them when we come back from this interview. Right now, we're going to go talk to Danae Garcia on the set of Fear the Walking Dead. Danae, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
You only play the toughest chicks on television in the movies. I would never mess with you.
You know what? It's really interesting because in my normal life, I like to read books, I like to run. I'm like completely
I don't believe it.
I know, nobody believes it. It's crazy. But I get to spend my whole days just killing people. It's just funny. I'm covered in blood. I mean, it's like, who does that?
That brings me to my next question for you. What do you think are the biggest similarities between Luciana from Fear the Walking Dead and your character of Loka?
You know, they are both survivors. They just know how to handle obstacles really well. And even when they make mistakes, they just know how to fix it, how to fail and bounce back. And I believe in that kind of a storytelling, that kind of characters. It's not about making mistakes. It's about how to bounce back and whatever it takes to get there and to get to the next level. And there's a similarities with Luciana there. She just tries to make it better and better. But she has no control over what's going to happen next. I mean, if the zombie comes in, I have to kill the guy because I have to keep going. And in Loka's case, if they kill my husband and my past is coming to the present, well, I have to take care of it. But it's all about handling the obstacles.
Right.
I think that's what keeps it very interesting for me.
So who wins in a fight between them?
I didn't think about that. But they have different skills, though. They have different skills. I think they both have their strengths. I don't like to think about them like that. They're both very strong women. I wouldn't like to get involved there.
Fair enough. I'm not going to make you pick a favorite child there. But I know you can't talk too much about Fear the Walking Dead's third season. I can't tell you how excited I am because I loved especially the second half of season 2, and that cliffhanger really has me dying to see what happens next. But I have to ask, you're filming in Baja, which is so cool. Is this just like the ultimate dream job? Has this season just been a complete amazing new reality for you?
You know what? It's been a reality for me, not just from a character standpoint or from a storytelling point or scripts and all that, but literally we passed 2 big storms like here. In LA, I'm sure too, but here's been Mother Nature is like apocalyptic with us. Wow. It's like, if you see a little rain, it's pouring rain, and we're like, it's been raining, it's been difficult, and that's kind of like what makes it fun. And you can't get away from the fact that this is a difficult shoot, not just because of long hours, but it's just, you just get into this mode of like, okay, there's a storm coming. Like, we just got a storm coming on the news for real. So it's just been very interesting. It's been so fun. It's been challenging. It's been wet, and it's been like you see the ocean going up and down. You're like, okay,
Wow.
this is not this is not, nobody wrote this down. This is
Right.
really happening.
Well, I'll never forget on The
So
Walking Dead. I don't know if you watched the first season of The Walking Dead. They had the scene where they covered themselves in zombie guts, and then the rain washed it all off. You guys would be in a lot of trouble because that's become like your favorite hobby. Is just let's cover ourselves in guts and we'll blend right in. If it starts raining,
Yeah,
you guys are in a lot of trouble.
yeah. I mean, we literally passed two storms, and we haven't stopped, and that says a lot about the crew, and it says a lot about the actors and the commitment and what it needs from us. It just demands so much, and not just from a character point of view, but also physically, and the commitment that is involved it's incredible, and I love working every single day. Not facing those obstacles, but knowing that there's a crew and an army of people just going forward with one objective, and
Right.
it's incredible.
That's
I
really
really
cool.
appreciate them.
That's awesome. Now, I will
Yeah.
personally never forget when you walked out on the stage at San Diego Comic-Con in Hall H in July, and you were announced as part of the cast. You looked so excited, and then we talked a couple months after that. The excitement didn't go anywhere. You were still
I
super
know.
hyped to be a part of this. It's been so much fun to follow you on this journey ever since. But what has been your favorite part of this entire experience from the time you joined the cast to being announced at Comic-Con and until now you're filming season 3? What has been the best part for you?
When I came back, first of all, when I announced Comic Con, the audience didn't know Luciana. They just saw a little trailer of Comic Con, but they had no idea what my character's about. I had to explain it and explain it. Even when we met in Hawaii, when I was in Hawaii, I had to like sort of be like, oh, like they literally started to get to know Luciana really well. So
Right.
it's been a journey of me catching up with you guys, with the audience, and the audience catching up with me, and me introducing myself, and it just hasn't been the same at all. It just escalated, and it keeps escalating. I can't wait for you guys to see what's coming next, and now that you guys know who Luciana is, and it's just been such an exciting journey. It's just been so incredible,
Yeah.
and it's really funny because in LA during the hiatus, I was in a coffee shop, and in Starbucks, just reading my book normal. And this little girl comes in. I swear she was like 7 years old. And she's like, hi, you're Luciana, the girl that kills zombies. I'm like, you're not supposed to see this. This is not for you. This is
That's
not for you."
amazing, though. That's the coolest thing ever.
I know. And then I looked at the mom, and the mom is like, oh, she just watched a little bit of it. I know. And I'm like, oh, she totally watched the whole show. I mean, this little girl, she loves the killing. It's like, I was like, oh my God, I would never think that a 7-year-old will like, and it's just not the first one. I mean,
Right, yeah, that's
it's
amazing though. What do you want to be when you grow up? Luciana from Fear the Walking
Luciana.
Dead? That's the coolest thing
I'm
ever.
7. So you know what? Despite of everything, I just love the fact that people can relate to her. Little girls, teenagers, young, older lady, whatever, any age is like,
Yeah.
it's because it's a character that is human, and we're dealing with human survival, and that's something that even though we're not surviving for our lives right now, we can relate to that kind of sensation of, like, for example, being hungry. You need to eat, otherwise you're gonna die. Like
Right.
we're constantly, believe it or not, in a survival mode. It's just that for Luciano's perspective, it's really life and death, and that's the whole show. It's
Right.
and that's really what I try to connect with when it comes to my characters,
Right. I
whether
think-
it's Loca, Luciana, or anything.
Yeah, I think you've been doing a really great job. Luciana has so quickly become a fan favorite character. But before I let you go, I have to ask: Fear the Walking Dead's 3rd season ended with your character getting shot. I lost my mind. I think a lot of people did. I know you can't talk too much about the season, if you can say anything at all. But we know Luciana is going to be okay. She's out there fighting zombies. You're still on set, at least for a little while to start the season. But what can you tease about what Luciana has ahead of her in this upcoming season?
In this upcoming season, and I think you're gonna see different layers of her. I think in order for a woman or a man or anybody to become strong, you have to be weak. And in order for anybody to be fearless, you have to feel the fear. And so in order to overcome anything, you have to do 2 steps back. It's just it's just life. It's just the way it goes. They said that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think that's what Luciana is right now. What doesn't kill her makes it certainly big time stronger.
Very
And
cool.
that's where she's at. It's
That's awesome.
you're gonna see a result of all this craziness that has happened to her.
I'm so
And
excited. I'm so excited for Fear the
yeah,
Walking Dead to return. I saw the commercial last weekend. They said it's coming back in June, so I can't wait. And thank you so much today for joining us. This has been so much fun.
yes, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry my presence, my makeup has not a normal glamorous girl. This is kind of like how it is lately.
That makes it so much cooler. You earned so many points for showing up covered in zombie guts. That is so cool. So yeah, thank
I'm
you.
doing
And
my dance.
Loca,
At least
everyone
I
I
can
know is
dance.
excited for Loca as well. It's debuting at South by Southwest, and
Yes.
I'm sure as more details on how to watch that come out, we will provide those. There's actually much more to that interview. It's about a 15-minute long interview, and we talked about her new movie Loca, which it looks amazing. If you haven't watched the trailer for Loca,
It looks
I totally recommend it. She gets to play such a cool character in that film, and we talked all about that. And we have much more of that. If you go to comicbook.com/The Walking Dead right now, actually, you can find that video and watch the entire interview uncut. And Danae is just a blast. So thank you to Danae for joining us. And I can't wait for Fear Season 2. They're going to have a female villain on Fear. I saw people asking, are we going to see a Negan? It's going to be a female villain is what I'm hearing. Executive producer Dave Erickson did After the Dead with us after their finale, and he told us we're going to have a female villain. She told me about this, and she's just so excited to interact. They can't tell me who's playing her. Can't even tell me her name, but I'm excited about that. We just got our first synopsis and photos from Fear just yesterday, so those are also on Comicbook/Walking Dead.
I'm excited about
But yeah,
that.
this is my favorite part of the show, questions. We get to talk to you guys and share some of the spoilers. I watched Sunday's episode last night, and let me just say this. Shippers are going to explode. Shippers are going to go. You thought Carol and Daryl was a moment last week? They're going to lose their minds this week. They're going to love it.
Are you allowed to say which relationship you're talking
I
about?
feel like I almost got pregnant just watching the episode.
Oh.
So that's a thing. All right, let's get a couple questions. And
Real quick, before we dive into The Walking Dead, Anne Francis wanted to know when Fear is back.
when is Fear back?
That's been
There
revealed.
isn't a date yet, but it's going to be June, which is interesting because I thought it was great that they were going to have the opportunity to put Fear up without Game of Thrones competing with it. Game of Thrones is getting a late start date. We don't have an exact date yet for Fear, but it's going to be June.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Probably going to coincide with Game of Thrones at some point. Which
most likely.
that's rough. Joe.
It's a tough competition.
Joe Hennessy. That's a good one, Joe. It says the female villain is Mrs. Morales.
Oh, I would be so hyped if Morales died
Brandon
and she was crafted into like a super Negan villain.
Brandon loves
Bring
Morales.
back Morales.
Brandon loves Morales so much.
I want a Morales spin-off show. I want to have Morales in our studio to talk.
That'd be
I'm
awesome.
going to reach out to him and be like, hey, man, we'll do a short film about
come up from
what
Alabama.
happened. I want to do a short film about what happened to Morales. I'm going to write it.
Would you guys watch it?
They'd watch it.
Yeah, I bet they would.
I would watch it.
I bet they would.
All right,
All right.
questions. What do we got? What do we got?
Let's see. Speaking of, you're talking about Daryl and Carol and all that. Judith Tyler wants to know, will Carol ever get over herself and join the fight? And it's been a weird storyline going on.
I absolutely think so. I think she's not going to get over herself. I think something is going to happen to her, or somebody's going to maybe tell her something like, I don't know, about Glenn and Abraham.
What could they tell her? You know?
So I think as soon as she hears about that, she's going to be out for so much revenge against the Saviors because she had such a strong bond with Glenn. Not necessarily with Abraham that much,
Yeah,
but her
definitely
relationship to Glenn and just the people of Alexandria.
Yeah.
She is going to be like, nah, bruh, I'm back.
And you
Pow,
got
pow,
to
pow.
remember, I mean, they didn't have a lot of screen time together, but Carol and Glenn were there since episode 1. They were two of the characters that made it from the campsite and are still around. There are only a couple. And so they've had so long. I mean, they've traveled together. They've been a family for years.
Yep.
It's really going to impact her. Now, just personal predictions. Who do you think is going to break the news to her? Because Daryl had a chance.
You see, the thing is,
Daryl
I don't
didn't do
think it's going to be Daryl. I think that it would make for a really interesting story if Morgan does it. Because if King Ezekiel does it, Morgan won't be loyal to King Ezekiel anymore. Daryl won't be loyal to King Ezekiel anymore. If Morgan does it, Daryl will understand. King Ezekiel will have no choice but to support Carol's decision because he's totally in love with Carol, whether she loves him back or not. He's fallen for her. But I think when Carol joins, she's going to catch Negan outside. How about that?
I think Morgan's going to have to change a lot before that happens. But I agree with you. I agree. All right, we have time for one more question. I want you to pick. Do you want a Glenn question, a Negan question or an Oceanside question?
Let's go Oceanside.
Oceanside, all right. Doreen Lant, Doreen, you've been all over the comment section today. We appreciate it. You've been killing it. Doreen wants to know, what about the beach community with all the guns? What's going to happen with Oceanside? See, now,
when you and I watched last week's episode with Jadis being introduced and Rick gets this mission to go get the guns, you were immediately like, he's going to go to Oceanside, Tara's going to tell him. And I just said, no, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think Oceanside's going to be back. I don't think Rick is going to go to Oceanside. Because if he goes to Oceanside to get the guns, they're going to shoot at him, and people are going to shoot back. And you lose your army, you lose your people. So I don't think he's going to go there to take their guns. I think Oceanside will serve as allies. I truly believe that. There's a reason they were introduced earlier than they were in the comics. They have to play a part. They hate Negan as much as Rick does. Will they fight? I don't know, but I don't think Rick is going to take their guns.
I mean, because Oceanside in the comics is one dude. Now, I know we said that was the last question, but Roberto, thank you for reminding me. We do have one thing to celebrate here in the Walking Dead world. Kristen Serratos plays Rosita. Just now, she was pregnant today, so congrats to her.
Which doesn't mean that Rosita's going to die.
Right, and that's what the comment was is Rosita going to die? What's going to happen?
Yeah, no.
I want to leave on that note.
Alana Masterson was pregnant for most of season 6, and they worked around it, and she has the most adorable little kid that I got to hang out with on the Walker Stalker cruise. Oh my God, so cute. And she is totally still part of the show, and they'll work around it. Rosita's not in every single episode. Right. And you can work around it.
Right. But now, do you think they're going to tie maybe her pregnancy into the show? Because remember, Rosita gets pregnant at one point in the comics.
It's much further. I don't think they will. I don't think Rosita's going to get pregnant. But congratulations to
Spencer and her, the timing works out.
The timing works out, but they're going to be filming season 8 in a couple of months, so that won't happen. Quick reminder before we wrap up today, guys. Sunday night, really exciting stuff. After the Dead is live following the 12th episode of season 7 with executive producer, VFX guru, Greg Nicotero. He's directing Sunday night's episode. We're going to have him live. Bring your questions. Bring your friends. Share the news. All that stuff. Use hashtag After the Dead to submit questions on Twitter. And that's our show today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Walker Wednesday. Huge thanks to Dan Garcia, and congratulations to Christian Serratos. On behalf of Charlie Ridgely and Comic Book Nation, I'm Brandon Davis. Hit us up on Twitter, all that good stuff. We'll see you later.